entrepreneur. Is Mailey your favorite? I was just sitting here thinking, and usually when I get to thinking, y'all don't know this, but I talk to the air, talk to myself, and I get pretty decent conversations going and really good arguments. So I thought that, hey, you just turn on the camera and talk to them. And we'll see if it works. It may not. Performance is different than sitting there thinking, talking to yourself. You know, I say I'm talking to God, and I am. So it's getting to be late February, and I'm in deep East Texas, and the weather is beautiful, but for some reason, I'm still hurting a whole lot from the winter and moving quite slow. I have been through quite a bit of trauma this year, and a lot of it has been physical trauma, but it's been paired with an especially brutal psychological and emotional trauma as well. After my mother died, it's not like I mattered a whole lot in my life, but I mattered even less than I didn't matter before. And coming to terms with that and finding myself alone is a pretty trippy experience, and it's pretty tough. I'm pretty tough. I've been through a tremendous amount of trauma in my life. I've had medical trauma, I've had emotional trauma, I've had physical trauma. Any kind of trauma, yeah, I've had it. Yeah, I was the kind of person who would step up for it. Don't know why. It's programming. I was programmed to be the scapegoat of my family, to be the one who took all the psychological dump and carried the shame and the pain of the family while they were free to go achieve and be happy. But I was to be miserable, sad, isolated, lonely, and if I ever tried to fight my way out of it, honey, that's when it started. When you're treated this way and you wake up to it and you decide you're not going to let it go on anymore, you lose everything. But in losing everything, let's talk about that. You also gain everything. You gain your autonomy, and it may be slow to build. Believe me, I know. I was sleeping on the floor in the garage to keep away from the chaos and try to protect myself and heal. That's where I was at. You gain independence. And once you get rid of all those people, the clingers on, the enablers, the flying monkeys, and just the really, I guess they're just not very smart people, you start to gain the real people, your tribe, people who know what you've been through because they've been through it themselves. You don't have to convince them, they just know you. Along this path, I have published my story on Facebook of all things. But it was either do that or burst out in flames and blow a hole in the universe. My family didn't like it. They came at me as hard as they could in the comments. And most of them just ignored me and moved on. That's called abandonment. They abandoned me. But I'm used to that. And the thing about being abandoned by them is that once you can heal that wound, you got to be aware of it to heal it. You got to be aware of it. You got to be real with it. You got to not be in denial. Denial is your worst enemy. It is a matter of life and death. You know, I was a person who at least once a year wanted to unalive myself, as they say now. Wanted to, tried to, attempted to, thought about it constantly. It was very, very, very miserable. And that's because they made my life miserable. I'm not a miserable person. I'm a very happy, loving, giving person. But that was the problem. And that's why I was scapegoated. It's hard to come to terms with. It's hard to believe. To step out of denial. To get off the hopium. And accept that you were not loved properly. That they took you, they scapegoated you. They made you an example for telling the truth, for taking up where justice should be, standing up to them and saying that's wrong. But basically, for telling the truth, because that's who you are, you really can't help it, because a lie is one of the most horrendous things to your spirit. Some people are so glib with a lie that it just rolls off their tongue, and they go on and do, and it catches up with them always. It always catches up with them. The thing about the truth is it never changes. It's always the same. And that's just like God. He never changes. You know, we have some pretty tough laws in the scriptures. The point is that none of us can live up to it. And Yeshua, Jesus, came to stand in the gap between the law and man's failure. That's why we call him Savior. The only way I survived what I've been through was to completely surrender to Jesus. I really didn't have a choice. And I lost everything. But I gained everything. Now, y'all, I hope that made sense. God told me to tell you. Peace. I love you.